On May 7, 2025, Indian Army launched a massive, coordinated strike to wipe out terrorist camps and military bases in Pakistan. This was payback for the brutal terrorist attack. On April 22nd, in Pahalgam, where Pakistan-backed group killed 26 innocent civilians on religious lines. India's forces didn't just hit those terror hideouts linked to Jaish-e-Mohammed and Lashkar-e-Taiba.
Lashkar-e-Taiba has demolished and begun reconstructing its Markaz Taiba headquarters in Muridke, which was destroyed in the May 7 Indian airstrike during Operation.
They straight up destroyed the foreign weapons Pakistan was using against India. India's artillery, like the BrahMos missile and a Kashtir network, effectively neutralized Turkish Bayraktar Akinci drones, Chinese PL-15 missiles that barely flew 140 km instead of their full 300 km range, and even cheap commercial quadcopters. Pakistan's drones, missiles and mortars, none of them even touched Indian soil. Not a single Pakistani missile hit an Indian base. This war showed the world that India's homegrown weapons like the BrahMos supersonic cruise missile, a Kashtir air defense system, and drone radars are way ahead of Chinese, Turkish, or Pakistani weapons. Because of this clean and precise attack, now India's weapons are in huge demand. Over 100 plus countries want them, like Armenia, Philippines, Vietnam, Indonesia, Malaysia, Egypt, Brazil, and even the US and France for parts. Estimates suggest India's defense exports, which hit $2.8 billion in 2024-25, could cross $10 billion in upcoming years, up from $100 million a decade ago. So in today's video, we'll break it down simply. How Indian weapons outclassed Chinese, American, Turkish, and Pakistani weapons. Why the world needs Indian weapons now. And most importantly, is this why Western media sides with Pakistan? If they admit India won big, it means their fancy US weapons look weak next to Indians' indigenous stuff. In this video, we'll dive into these questions. 3 key Indian systems that smashed Pakistani targets and why they beat the foreign gear Pakistan relied on. First up, the BrahMos supersonic cruise missile. This bad boy is India's pride, made by BrahMos Aerospace, a joint venture between India's DRDO and Russia's NPO. It flies at Mach 2.8. That's 3 times the speed of sound. About 3,000 kilometers per hour range, up to 500 kilometers after upgrades in 2019, and it can launch from land, ships, subs, or even Sukhoi 30 MKI jets. Weighs around 3 tons, carries a 200 to 300 key warhead, and uses super smart guidance, GPS inertial navigation, and active radar for pinpoint hits. Low radar cross-section means it's sneaky. Radars can't spot it till it's too late. In Operation Sindoor, BrahMos was the star. On May 7th, Indian Air Force jets fired these from standoff range, slamming into Pakistani airbases like Noor Khan and Rahim Yar Khan. They busted bunkers, radar stations, and command nodes in under 23 minutes. Pakistan's radars, Chinese HQ-9 and HQ-16 systems, copies of Russian S-300, couldn't detect or intercept them. Why? BrahMos is too fast and flies low, hugging the terrain. Pakistan tried their own missiles like the Fateh-1, a short-range ballistic one with 200 to 400 kilometers range, but it flopped hard. Multiple launch failures, crashes mid-flight. Even their Chinese PL-15 air-to-air missiles, bought in 2023 with a crippled 140-kilometer range, got shredded before reaching Indian jets. Turkish drones, BrahMos fragments helped take them down indirectly by clearing the skies. No wonder Philippines bought 3 batteries for $375 million in 2022. Next, the Kashtir air defense system, integrated with the Akash missiles. Kashtir is India's AI-powered command center, fusing data from radars, satellites, and sensors for real-time threat tracking. It's like a brain for the whole air defense network. Made by Bharat Electronics Limited and DRDO, it controls multiple batteries over 100 kilometers area. The Akash missile itself? Short-range surface-to-air, 25 to 30 kilometers range for Akash-1S, up to 70 to 80 kilometers for the new Akash-NG. Speed, Mach 2.5, hits drones, jets, cruise missiles. It can engage 4 targets at once, has ECCM to beat jamming, and is mobile, deploys in minutes. Cost? About $500,000 per missile, way cheaper than Israel's Iron Dome. During the conflict, Pakistan attacked using drone swarms and mortar fire. India's Kashtir defense system quickly responded, coordinating efforts to shoot down over 50 enemy drones and missiles, preventing any from getting through. Pakistan used Chinese-made LY-80 and FM-90 surface-to-air missile systems, which are designed for short-range defense, but they failed completely. Indian electronic warfare systems jammed Pakistan's defenses, disrupting their ability to respond, while India's Akash missile system easily countered the jamming attempts. Pakistan's Chinese CH-4 drones were destroyed in mid-air, and even their advanced Turkish Bayraktar Akinci drones, purchased in April 2023 for over $100 million, couldn't break through. Akash-tier's radars and sensors tracked them perfectly. While the US Patriot system is more advanced and costs billions, India's Akash system, which is 80% locally made, proved highly effective and was even exported to Armenia for $600 million in 2023. This shows why India's defense system succeeded. And the third one is the D4 anti-drone system. If we're talking about the D4 anti-drone system, this is a powerful defense tool against drones. It uses radar to spot drones up to 10 km away, jammers to disrupt their signals, cameras for visual identification, and lasers or other weapons to destroy them. It can handle everything from small quadcopters to large combat drones and costs about $10 to $20 million per unit. During the conflict on May 8th, Pakistan attacked with swarms of Turkish Yiha, a variant of Akinci, and Chinese CH-4 drones. The D4 system jammed their signals, confused their GPS causing them to crash, and used lasers to take down others. Fragments recovered showed Pakistan's drones, including their Burak models, failed completely due to weak resistance to India's jamming. Compared to pricier US systems like Coyote, D4 is more integrated and cost-effective. Now, Vietnam is interested in D4 to counter threats in the South China Sea. Now, let's move to the next question. Why are countries more inclined towards Indian weapons over Chinese ones? Because Pakistan's weapons, 70% made by China, failed badly in the conflict. Their JF-17 jets, HQ-9 missile defenses, and Shior drones couldn't compete. Indian electronic jamming confused the Chinese systems, making JF-17s lose to India's Rafale and Su-13Ki jets, and PL-50 missiles missed their targets due to weaker export versions. Chinese gear is cheap, poorly built, and not ready for tough battles. On the other hand, India's battle-tested, homegrown weapons from DRDO. Pakistan's Turkish Akinci drones needed foreign help to operate, and their own Fateh weapons were unreliable. India's focus on self-reliance, with 65% local parts by 2025, made its systems stronger and better adapted. This is why over 100 countries showed interest in buying Indian weapons. The US himself was interested in parts worth over $500 million. France wanted software for $300 million. And Armenia, the biggest buyer, purchased Akash and Pinaka systems for $600 million. The Philippines bought BrahMos missile for $300 million. Vietnam discussed drones worth $200 million. Indonesia wanted loitering munitions for $300 million. Malaysia was interested in radars. Egypt eyed Rudram missiles. Brazil wanted to co-produce Akash systems. And Nigeria and Argentina showed interest in Tejas jets. Because of this, in 2024 to 25 Indian weapons exports jumped to $2.8 billion from just $100 million in 2014. Experts suggest that the figure could reach up to $10 billion in the upcoming years. This is why Western media pushes the narrative of India losing jets.
Pakistan downed an Indian jet
Over India's accurate counter-strike on Pakistani military and terrorist camps. Because if they acknowledge India's dominance, it would expose US weapons like F-16s or Patriots as inferior to India's cost-effective systems. Following the Indo-Pak conflict, even China's market crashed, with AVIC stocks down 20% now. The West fears losing arms sales. Conclusion. Operation Sindoor in May 2025 showcased India's military might with homegrown BrahMos missiles, Akash-tier defenses, and D4 anti-drone system. Pakistan's Chinese-Turkish arsenal, forcing a ceasefire by May 10th with 0 Indian losses. This victory proved India's indigenous tech outshines imported hype, boosting defense exports from $100 million in 2014 to $2.8 billion now, with $10 billion projected soon, as 100+ countries, including Armenia, Philippines, and Vietnam, clamor for battle-tested, affordable Indian gear. So, what's your thoughts on India becoming a leading weapon exporter in the upcoming years? Share your comments below.